What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You guys are watching the Friday weekly market watch where Zach Stone and I go over Lorcana news, meta trends, and card prices, and it's been a very eventful week this week for Lorcana news. First of all, we got to talk about the Lorecast that happened yesterday. It's the most recent news, and there's just been so much buzz happening on the internet. So we're gonna go over pretty much everything that you guys want to hear and need to talk about, starting with this announcement about the Fabled set breakdown. Now, Fabled is the next set coming out in, I believe, late August, kind of early September-ish, and it's going to be set 9 of Lorcana. This is going to kickstart the rotation, and we got pretty much confirmation of how many cards are getting rotated, reprinted, right? Reprinted in the set and going to be rotated into the format with only 33 new mechanically cards coming out in Fabled. That means around 170 plus cards are going to be returning. To me, I'm just going to be honest with you off the bat, it feels like we're just going to be opening packs of sets we already have, especially if there's only 33 new cards. Zach Stone, how are you doing today on this Friday? Everyone in the comments, let me know what you think of this set.
Happy Friday, everyone, and happy Friday to the Goon Squad community. Thank you guys for watching our Market Watcher, guys. And yeah, the reprints in the set or returning cards it's a lot. I point blank said it on our live stream yesterday that I would have liked about 60 mechanically new cards, because that gives about 10 cards for every color. And I think we're only going to get half that. So every color is going to have about like 6, maybe even just like 5. And it's going to be interesting, right? With only so many new cards, we are just pretty much playing with like all the cards we were playing with previously. Not too much is going to change outside of just some heavy hitters, and ultimately, like we won't really know the full extent of what cards are going to be graduated into the current core constructed, because I think that's a terminology they're going to only be using moving forward. But yes, they do give us a little bit of a breakdown of what rarity cards are going to be coming back. And we have 6 colors. So I can only assume that we're going to get one of every legendary in each color. We already know Maleficent Dragon's coming back.
Yep.
And that means the ruby slot's taken. So
Yeah.
Big Cisu is gone.
Big Cisu's gone.
And that's something that I really, have to bring up, is that like we are going to see a shift in the way people have to prepare and build their decks, but we still don't know what's left to come for the graduated cards, and that is going to have a big impact. So yeah, Infinity format, you are going to be able to play with all these cards. So Infinity events, and when we have the DLC and the whole new world event later this year, it's going to be awesome.
We also got some news about a new promo that you can receive if you're going to Gen Con next week. And Gen Con's also going to be where they mentioned on the Lorecast that they're going to be revealing more and more cards, right? For Fabled. So we're probably going to get either some new cards revealed, but again, only 33 new cards doesn't feel too hyped in my opinion. So I can see why they're already revealing cards for set 10, even though set 9's not out. But here we have a Emerald Goofy the Emerald Champion, a 5-cost uninkable, 3 strength, 5 willpower that says whenever one of your other Emerald characters is challenged and banished specifically, you banish the challenging character. Pretty cool. This is kind of like the Cusco no touchy ability on all of your Emerald characters. Very nice. It is a card that also can quest for 2, so he's going to be able to swing for 2 when you need him to, because he's going to give your other Emerald characters reward, and that's going to make your other characters possibly also quest for their guaranteed lore, which is what I like about it. But new cards coming out. They're revealing cards already, which feels very on brand for Lorcana, right? The sets haven't even come out and they're revealing cards from 2 sets in the future. But yeah, I'm still concerned about the popularity of Infinity format, Fable. There's going to be some more information at Gen Con though, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going down at Gen Con. If you guys are going, they are actually going to be having first chapter troves and other products available. Very interesting. For anybody, if any Market Watch enjoyers, we know that the first chapter troves are pretty expensive. They're usually around $300+, as you can see right here. We have the lowest verified listed at around $349. That's the JNL Games for a first chapter trove, right? So these are gonna, I don't know if it's a reprint, if this is like some backstock or something. It doesn't say reprint, but you have a possibility of finding this and maybe some other first chapter products at Gen Con. And post rotation, I don't think it's going to be available anymore. What do you think, Zach?
It's definitely funny to mention that this happened last year. I think that they did have a re-wave or re-release of the troves and were selling them at Gen Con and MSRP. So it's good for those collectors and everybody that did miss out. But you also got to remember the emphasis on Fabled is to bring more and newer players into this game. So some players that just are showing up or maybe have gotten here around like set 5, set 6, they didn't have a chance to find any of these products,
Yeah.
and the first chapter Illuminator's Trove was like one of the more sought after ones because later on they stopped printing this for a very long time, and we only saw like booster boxes get like printed back into the rotation. So yeah, I like that we're getting more product. Speaking of product, we are seeing Fabled booster boxes going up on pre-sale. Now remember guys, do check in with your local game stores in your area and see if they're
Yeah.
offering any pre-orders. However, this is still below MSRP, so if you're not too fond or don't have any local areas to go to, definitely see about this option or some other trustworthy websites. But we only recommend TCG Player just because it's more of like a safe hub and has a buyer's safeguard.
Yeah, and be aware if you do order from TCG Player, they're not allowed to ship it out until September 5th. But if you go to your local game store directly in person, they're actually going to have it available 2 weeks, or I think a week before. It's a week before now. Yeah, so the week
Mhm.
prior. And they usually have pre-release events. So if you're new to Lorcana, welcome to the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. Feel definitely hit up your local game store so you can join those pre-release events. Yeah, man, Fabled's coming out very soon. I think it's gonna change the game. Alongside this, we're getting DLCs. They also announced some events in Europe that are going to have the CCQ invites. That's going to be like another way to get your ticket to the national tournament and whatnot. And I think it's going to bring Lorcana back into the spotlight. However, I am concerned with 170 reprinted cards, as somebody who already does not like opening booster boxes and packs, because I've always just been somebody who's like, if I want to build a deck, I'm just going to buy the singles. If I want a specific card for my collection, I'd rather just look for the single. I know a lot of us definitely like ripping the packs, we like pulling the enchanted. It's a very good feeling, but it's going to be a little harder, in my opinion at least, to justify cracking packs, even though there is this iconic rare, these iconic rares that we might be getting, or whatever that we are getting. I'm going to be just concerned. I'm going to be concerned about the amount of reprinted cards I'm pulling. I know some people also share this sentiment. I've been seeing the people's reactions online, and some people think the set's going to flop. Some people are thinking LGSs are not going to be able to sell this set. I know Zach and other people, you think the opposite. I don't. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you feel, Zach, but I know you think Infinity format's going to be pretty popping. So I think that's a good reason to why this set's going to be very popular. However, I'm a little bit worried. I'll be honest with you. Because I feel like it's a hard time right now for most people to justify buying boxes of a set where around 70% is cards you probably already pulled back in the formats.
Yeah, so I do want to mention that I have placed orders for Fabled, a decent amount, but
Oh yeah,
it is
same.
something that I just am not opening for singles. Like didn't open any, or maybe just a booster box of Raina Jafar, but I didn't like mass open this set for singles. The last set, Arcasius Island, very little. Sets 5 and 6, however, were a different story where I opened a lot of product to get a lot of
Set 5 was good.
inventories and single
Set 5
cards.
was a good set.
Honestly, it was like worth cracking up
Yeah.
until like set 7, in my opinion, because like set 7 I opened up a decent amount and I was kind of like and I just told myself like Raina Jafar, like I can't do it, I can't justify it. And when I was missing my enchanteds out of my cases, it definitely was a more of a deterrent too. I think that was another factor for me personally, but I do want to mention that I'm confident this will sell very, very fast in the beginning. However,
Okay.
later on, it's going to be a tougher set to move, in my opinion, at least.
But with all this internet buzz, we got to talk about some recent market trends that are happening right now. There are several cards that are just booming lately, and since yesterday and today, and we're just going to briefly go over them and talk about their prices and where they're at now. And for no particular reason, Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood, this enchanted rare, is the market price was 136. I'm pretty sure this is going to change overnight because look at all these recent sales. Zach and everybody in the market watch, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to stop counting. We have like more than 15. More than 15. This is like 20 some. Oh my goodness, like 20 some sales in one day. Yesterday, all of these selling for around $120-ish, with some more recent sales today at 160. Lowest verified is going to be by Tournament City, listed at $249.98 shipping. Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood, is now listed as a $200+ enchanted rare. Don't know if it's going to sell at this price, but for sure it's gone from 120 to 160 at least. Very, very interesting. I do want to take a look at the regular Robinhood real quick because these are for sure seeing a little spike this morning from around the market price of $6 is what the lowest they were selling at. Lowest the recent sale is going to be $13 for a cold foil and $9 to $10 for a bunch of non-foils. So lowest verified today is going to be, we have a $7 with $5 shipping by Upkeep Games, then $12. Dang, these are already back at $12 after one day. Draw, play, pass. Is going to be the lowest verified for our Robinhood champion of Sherwood. The cold foils are back at around $15-$20. They're a little bit more than $15 with $2 shipping right here by Geek Arcadia. And then Lordor has it already 14 with $5 shipping. They're creeping back up to $20. These Robinhoods were literally like $8 last week, bro. They're going to be more than $10 already, and the cold foils are shooting up. Zach, how are we feeling?
I'm definitely interested into a lot of other reasons why these cards are going up. But outside of like the market movements, I do want to kind of mention that like a lot of people are going to be wanting to flood the market with copies of their own now, because this is normally how it goes. People see these cards selling higher and they
The
want to
trends.
get a piece of the pie. They want to offload some of their Lorcana while it's at its highest. I know a lot of people haven't liked a lot of the current market prices. Those that have been into Lorcana for a very long time, it has gone down. So take your opportunities and take your wins when they come up. And another come up right now is the John Silver Alien Pirate. This is from the first chapter, and this is a card that doesn't see any play, if so at all. Maybe here and there in some few blue green decks with down in New Orleans, but this is interesting. More sales, not as much as the Enchanted Robin Hood or the regular Robin Hood, but enough sales for me to mention that they are moving around $12. Mind you, this was a first chapter cold foil legendary, and they've always been a little bit more than like other legendary cold foils. And the next legendary that we're also going to go over is this Surfer Stitch for now. But yes, it is the cold foil one that has gone up as well. This one was about $15, I think, like last week. And we've seen sales go for around like 23, 24, even as high as $25. And the listings are not as strong as I would say some other cards that exist. So these cold foil Surfer Stitches have to be really sought after, and you got to remember Stitch is very much a collectible, and there are some collectible versions of this card too.
Real quick before we move on, these are the sales for the Stitch non-foil, and there's a lot happening. Today alone, we have somebody buying 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 sales alone today, and then yesterday, just a gang of sales for this Surfer Stitch. And then let's take a look at the Enchanted Rare, since this Stitch does have an Enchanted Rare as well. This one not having the same type of movement as Robin Hood, but right now, lowest verified is now Strike Zone Online for $230, and overall, I feel like that is more than what it used to sell for, because we have some recent sales here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sales alone yesterday for the Enchanted Surfer Stitch. 220, 205, 230, 220, 210, 210. So it's selling for a little bit more than 200. The lowest verified is still 230, but a couple more sales, it'll be at that 250 range. Once again, don't know what's going to happen with this card, but there's a lot of sales happening. And we got to talk about the Elsa Spirit of Winter Enchanted Zackstone, because there have been some recent sales for this one too. Yesterday alone, somebody bought one for $788. That's very close to 800. And then another buyer buying three of them at $790. Wow, 5 Elsas, 5 Enchanted Elsas selling on TCG Player yesterday. The market price for these was closer to 800, and we have been seeing some listings as low as around 750, 760. But like you said, Zach, people want a piece of the pie, so we are seeing now more people trying to list their Elsas, since there is like a lot more interest. So we do have some low verified sellers right here, 760, 760, if you guys want to get them, because apparently they're in demand right now alongside their regular non-enchanted versions, which have also been seeing a little bit of an uptick in the last day or so. We have multiple people buying this Elsa non-foil yesterday and today, just a full page of sales. And today, lowest verified is going to be $6 with $1.30 shipping by WL Gaming. And if you want a cold foil version, let's say you're not really an enchanted gamer, you want more just like shiny cards, but you don't want the enchanted, these market prices $39 right now, and they're still sitting at $40 actually. One Upon Games Calhoun, that's a very interesting name. It's going to be $37 with $2 shipping for your cold foil Elsa non-enchanted.
collectible card in its own right. It's Elsa. It's from the first chapter, and I do remember that these cold foils were as high as $100 during those days. But yeah, some other cards that were also around during those days: the Hades Infernal Schemer. Now, this is a card that sees a lot of play in Blurple decks, and also is included in some Ruby Sapphire decks. But we do want to talk about the amount of sales that we have on this one today. It's moving quite fast. Even some cold foils are moving too. But look at this, everybody. Everyone's picking up their Hades right now, $15 a pop, and around $40 to $50 for all your cold foil copies. It's pretty spicy right now for this Hades. And honestly, I gotta bring up that there's only 8 listings for the cold foils. The Card Cracks got you right now today your lowest verified at 51.98. So shout outs to you. And honestly, just a really powerful card, a very strong removal tool, and yeah, it's moving quite well. Kevin, what do you have to say about the Hades moving this fast?
Hades is a great card. First chapter cards keeping their relevance, I guess. And I like that you mentioned that Hades is a card that's currently played right now. So that plays a huge role in the fact that you can only get one for $50 for a cold foil, mainly because the price was already kind of headed in that direction already, since Blurple was kind of a more than good deck this format. And I think now it's just going to kind of stick around this price. You know, it's a first chapter cold foil. Those never get old. Very interesting. Very interesting for our Hades. The Infernal Schemer. I do want to talk about some cards that have been really going down in price. This Rapunzel DLC promo was selling for around 170 to 150 during the summer. Market price is still 150, but we have a lot of listings today. Tornado Games has 4 of them. Then we have Pro Play Games with 2 of them. We have Tournament City Shades. All of these are now listed at around $120. And I get the feeling people are going to be offloading this Rapunzel and Rapunzels in general, considering like the new rotation coming soon, and we just don't know what's gonna happen. But you know, a lot of people are getting rid of these cards, but we got to make room for new cards in the meta, right? So like this is the reason why I think cards like Namari, Single-Minded Rival, are seeing an uptick in sales. I've been seeing a lot of people play this and buy these actually as of recently. Lowest verified is Guiding Vault here with $17, but then after that, the next verified seller is Pokey Raven at $19.50, very close to $20. This is like a $20 legendary now, and I think it just gets better and better over time.
Yeah, this is just a card that's seeing a lot more and more play. I think it is going to be one of the more staple steel cards going forward into the newer constructed meta. And when we have Fabled release, I think this card's going to see a lot more play. So yeah, cold foils are sitting around like $27, $28, and it's one of the more like sought after legendaries from the Reign of Jafar. And if you guys are still looking to get any Reign of Jafar singles, Kevin and I do sell cards in our local area. I'm at the Frankincense Collectible Show in the City of Industry, and you can find me at booth M4 in the left-hand side in the card room, all the way in the corner. And trust me, I have tons of Reign of Jafar singles. I've been stocking up on massive bulk buys and just trying to get as much inventory as possible. Come in, stop by, say hi, even if you don't need to buy anything, because I do love seeing your beautiful faces. And Kevin, where can people buy cards from you at?
You can find me at the Ninja Exchange Collectible Show in Carlsbad. That's San Diego County, California, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we got tournaments there too. Very cool, very cool. We're very excited for Fabled as well, right? Because we're going to be ready to go with all of these cards in the meta, in our inventory, in our arsenal. Because you got to keep up with the games, man. And I know a lot of us, some of us got tickets to the DLC. Some of us got attendee badges. Some of us, might have some CCQs in some areas near us. So that's going to be really exciting. And I like I said, I think the game is gonna have a somewhat of a revival in this set, and I'm very excited for it. We gotta talk about Rhino, Power Hamster, because these have been kind of going up and down in price. They were pretty hyped up when they first came out, selling for almost $10, and they kind of came down, selling for around $5. But the market price is now at least like $6 to $7. Lowest verified is $6.76 by Infinite Gaming TCG, and I think they're gonna settle at around this $7 mark. And cold foils are still sitting pretty at around $20. Very nice to see. If you bought these for more than $20, no need to worry. They're still kind of sitting around that price, which is cool. Dead Slime TCG shop, $19.30 with $1 shipping. I know, Zach, we said on our Monday Meta Watch video that you said the reason why Amber Steel is so dominant in this meta is because Rhino is just that card. And I agree. I think Rhino put Amber Steel over the top. And if you guys want to hear our opinions on the meta and overall how to play the game, some strategies, watch our Monday Meta Watch videos where we go over your deck lists that you guys have been finding success with over this set champs weekend, especially, right? So Goofy, groundbreaking chef, has been seeing a lot of play in Amber Steel decks and Ruby Amber decks, and I feel like post rotation as well, some of these legendaries are going to see kind of a power creep, right? Especially since we know that we're only getting 6 reprinted legendaries overall. That means legendaries from sets 1 through 4 that are not necessarily like one of each color pair. Like they're all, they're all up. There's a potential that they don't come back into the game. We already know, like you said earlier, that Cisu is not returning, and that means cards like Scarvicious Cheater are not going to be returning as well automatically. And some of these Ruby cards are pretty decent, and they go into certain decks like your Mufasa Ruby Amber decks where you can't necessarily play cards like Be Prepared, and you want to play only characters. So I think certain strategies are going to change, and we don't even know what else is going to get reprinted. It's 170 cards, commons, uncommons, etc. I get the feeling we're going to see like some interesting power creep with some of these legendary cards. So Goofy shooting up in price in the last couple of weeks, and a lot of sales happening. Lowest verified is $12 now for a non-foil Goofy. Interesting. These are interesting. These are now more than $10 each. I love to see that. Cold foils, however, they're probably going to be not too expensive because you can get the regular cold foil from pulling it in a pack. It's $13. But if you want a fancy cold foil, the groundbreaking chef is available in the Illuminator's Quest. These were selling for a little bit more than $15, almost $20 earlier in the week, but as of recently, they're going to be selling for $15 again. Angle auctions for $15. I think that's a pretty good price. I like that. And if you do buy an Illuminator's Quest, you're getting at least a $15 card in there. Just like we were mentioning, Zach, Cisu not returning. How do you feel about that? I'm actually pretty excited as a Lady and the Tramp Turn-a-Dog enjoyer, which we might not get Turn-a-Dog, but still, as a Lady and the Tramp deck enjoyer, I am very glad we're not getting Cisu.
Well, I will go ahead and not necessarily go on record, but I'm just going to mention that like there is nothing stopping them from having these cards graduate in future sets after
True.
Fable.
Very
so,
true. Also,
so
is there a world where they reprint this in a different rarity? Sorry to interrupt you, but is that possible?
if that does happen, I don't know how to respond because I'm not too sure how a lot of people are going to feel if like their legendary cards in previous sets are downgraded to like super rares or rares. However, I wouldn't be surprised if they started including like epic versions of cards that they only released in this set and they don't show up in like any other like rarity. So like for example, if they only printed like the Elsa that we saw early on the next chapter of Lorcana, and we saw the epic rare, what if you couldn't pull that in like a not normal or cold foil variant from that set? If they ever did something like that, then I could see them justifying that because in theory every card will get an upgrade in rarity. But it's an epic, and that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make these cards like more fuller art versions of them. But anyway, before I lose my point, I do want to say though, also Infinity format. I think this card's going to be like built. A lot of decks will be built around this card, whether you playing it or playing against it. And if it does ever graduate in future sets, then it will make a very strong impact. I will say that again.
Since we're on the topic of Infinity format, like I'm not gonna say I have like a beef with Infinity format, but like yeah, I agree with you, Zach. I think this card's gonna be very relevant in Infinity format, not just because it's a good card, but because you're gonna be able to play Flaversham in Infinity format, and I feel like if you're gonna give us banned cards in any format, I'm just gonna play the banned cards, right? Like it's that good that we're just gonna play the banned cards. So I although I think Infinity format's gonna be fun, I don't know I don't know how much I'm gonna look forward to it if it's gonna be just a bunch of Flaversham decks running around. Let's be real. But Baymax Armored Companion is another card I want to talk about real quick. Some promos before we call it a day. This card's selling for really cheap right now. I don't know why this card just came crashing down in price. Recent market price was around $60 to $70 almost, and lowest verified now is $53 by Dead Slime. Then we have Gamers Heaven, $52. So currently around $55, and it's really interesting actually because I've been seeing this card see a lot of play. People play it in Sapphire Steel. People are playing it in Ruby Sapphire with like that Tinkerbell Prince John deck, and post rotation, even better card in my opinion. There's a world where Brawl does not survive the rotation, and that's the reason why this card was kind of mid because it just loses out to Brawl, but maybe it becomes a good card. I don't know. I'm very surprised that, and Baymax is like a fan favorite. $50 right now seems like a good deal if you guys want to pick up some of these promos. And last but not least, Zach, you pointed this one out to me. We have a recent sale for a Let It Go DLC promo for $1,000 on the 13th of this month. We had a sale for $998 for a Let It Go promo. Very nice, very nice. This is a really cool promo to give us for the first season of DLCs. I'm very much looking forward to Milwaukee. Zach and I got tickets, so if you guys are going to be there, let us know in the comments below so we can say hi and we can give you guys some stickers and whatnot. But I'm really excited for this. I don't think the Mufasa. It's Mufasa, right? It's for top for like whatever that it's either Mufasa or Mulan. Or Mulan you get for 3. For sure, the Mulan is not gonna be at this price.
It's the Simba.
The Simba. Oh, it's Simba. It's Simba. Simba. There you go. Yeah. So it's the Simba equivalent for the new season that we're going to be acquiring as a prize, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere near this price because this is kind of an Elsa card. This has that like Elsa princess, let it, that tax, that frozen tax, as I like to say. So this, if you were around for the first season of DLCs and you acquired to Let It Go and you still have it, you're sitting on a pretty hefty bag right there. I think it's pretty cool. Huge shout out to Lorcana for providing some awesome pricing. But that's also the kind of the problem right now in Lorcana is we want more tournaments to win this pricing. So hopefully they listen to the players, they give us what we need to keep the game alive, going well. I'm super excited for Fabled, Zach. I'm not really nervous about the game's longevity overall. I just think this product in general is going to be, like you said, a little bit harder to move for certain game stores as time goes on, because once people start pulling the iconics, I think a lot of people are just going to buy the iconic instead of trying to pull it out of a set, because it's going to be harder to pull than an enchanted, and enchanteds are already very hard to pull.
Yeah, I do want to also say that the reaction and response to yesterday's Lordcast, a lot of people were kind of just upfront talking about it on social media that they plan to just buy singles from this set and not not open the product and not try to pull anything. And it's something that I do have to stress upon as somebody that does buy sealed product as well as buy in single inventory, is that you need a mix of both. You need people buying the singles because you need people opening the packs to get these cards, and some people are chasing these iconics and these enchanteds, and they are going to be opening these products to pull these cards. And the rest of these singles that they pull, that they don't plan on keeping, if they don't trade or sell back to a shop, they don't go back onto the market. And so we need both. And if players are saying that they're just planning on buying singles, where are the people saying they just plan on opening a bunch of product? Because they both need to happen, or somebody's going to get stuck in the middle, and we're going to see card prices tend to go up when less product is being opened. And that's just unfortunately how markets react to things. And the last thing I do want to mention, it's just mentioning about the Let It Go, is that on the prize wall from Milwaukee, there will be non-foil versions. That's the only thing I kind of wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, but I forgot about that.
Other than that, though, with Fabled coming out, I am excited. There's a lot of things to discuss, and I do want to go ahead and bring up the shout out hour now that we're getting close to the end of the video. So anytime anybody comes by to Frank's and does any big deals with me, I want to give them a shout out on this week's video. We have 3 shout outs to Jason from Nerd Nonsense Official. Check him out on all socials. He does great content, and honestly, appreciate you stopping by off your flight, come visiting me first. Shout outs to Tim and Pauline and Joe and Jana. You guys are awesome. And again, if you guys are ever coming by to do some big deals with me, mention this channel, mention the videos, and I'll give you guys a shout out on next week's video. But yeah, Kevin, is there anything else you'd like to say before we call it a day?
Just be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. A lot of you still aren't subscribed, and it definitely helps the channel. We had some live streams yesterday. We had a live stream yesterday where we played your decks from the Monday video, so that was really fun. If you guys want to see like 2 hours of Zach and I just going at it with your set championship deck lists, be sure to check out that video. And yeah, I'm just super excited for Fabled, man. We have Max Goof and Powerline on this cover. That alone is going to get me to buy the set, at least, just to see if we can pull some of these cool enchanteds. But once again, thanks so much for watching. Remember to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons, and we'll see you next time.